was to completely lose its orbit, and
It would look like the heavens are dancing.
well, wouldn't it also be the end of time? I mean, the end of Earth existence?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
In fact, the area that we are in right now, the Goldilocks zone, they call it, right?
Yeah.
It extends for a pretty good period.
174.8 down from 176. I'll take it. Watching Pastor Paul
That's
Begley.
what I'm thinking.
It would change the way
Breaking the Midnight Hour, Mike from around the world, Paul Begley.
To different types of gases and everything else. The Earth would still, people would still exist, but life would be different here on this Earth, and that could literally happen. See, there could be, of course, a number of events that can cause that to happen in less than a week.
I didn't say anything.
Right? In less than 1 week, the Earth could be thrown out of its current orbit into something else. But as we have some weird gravitational force pulling on the solar system, we're not going to keep our orbit anyway. At some point, it will begin to destabilize the orbit of the sun, or our orbit around the sun, right? It'll destabilize that. Another force acting on the Earth is going to destabilize its current orbit. Simple and plain. It will tug at us on a very specific side at a certain time of the year. It will tug at us, and so much for our orbit, right? Doesn't mean we're all going to die. It just means we're going to have some massive changes. That's what it means. Yeah. Massive changes, and quick. Like for example, the earthquake in the Bible that moves every island and mountain out of its place.
Yes.
Okay, that's the entire Earth shifting, right? That's what that is. That's the entire Earth shifting. So, my goodness. So we're going to see it. It's going to happen. It's coming.
You got planes flying in the sky. All kinds of things are happening, obviously. Let me ask you a question. Putin, Trump had a phone call. I think it might have went 2.5 hours. That's what we're hearing. Trump came out of that call, very positive. He thinks there's something going to shake loose. But what's your thoughts on this?
That'll be the 10th time.
Yeah,
the 10th time.
A conversation.
Putin has a habit of saying one thing and doing something totally different. Everybody should keep in mind, he told the world, he said, listen, we have nothing to do with the build-up here at the border. It's not our stuff.
Yeah.
So he had nothing to do with whatever was going on. And people were like, well, he's building up a lot of machinery right there. For what reason? He says, well, I'm not going to do it. It must be other people. He said, have you checked with, what did he say? Have you checked with, he said, he named some other country. He promised the world he would never invade Ukraine. And the next day he went into Ukraine.
The very next day.
He sat there and promised the world on television and every avenue.
Very next day.
He would not invade Ukraine. And the very next day he went right in there. And some of us knew he was going in there, regardless of what he said. Yeah. That's how he is. Now, for a guy like that who's done this consistently, and just what people have seen is one thing, but there have been times that Putin has promised people safety and their family safety, and the next day, them and their family were blown up.
Yep. Poison.
No.
That's right.
Yeah.
No.
Right.
Frozen.
So
I'm busy. I'll be busy for a long time.
Nothing is going to change.
Time for that?
Right, nothing we know about is going to change it, unless the Lord changes. But no person will do that. If he ever gives in to somebody's demand, some other country, some other ruler, right, he's already admitting to be subservient to whomever can change his plans. He's going to be deemed subservient to that person. That is not the way of a person who likes or who upholds the Soviet Union. Yeah. Because ever since Chernobyl, many people have been disgruntled with the world, with the UN, and how they did Russia. And he's one of those people. He's kept power for a reason. And the reason is not to make friends with the USA. That's not why he kept power.
He's poisoned people, that opposition, to him. He's imprisoned them. He's blew up their planes. You know, assassinated them. I don't know how many diplomats. There was a period of time there where every time I turned around, there was a Russian ambassador dying in somebody's, you know, in somebody's embassy somewhere. I remember the guy who Blotner thought he was going to do a coup on Putin and then turn the army around, and he said, "I'm sorry, I don't mean to do this. Oh, don't worry." And the next thing you know, the guy's dead in Libya or somewhere. So, you know, I mean, to your point, when Putin decides you have to be exterminated, you will be exterminated. It's not a question of, well, maybe not. You know, you'll be gone, and he uses the KGB type tactics to do it. So Trump's on the phone with him, and I believe Trump's a very smart guy. And he's talking to them, and he gets told all this stuff, and like, oh yeah, I'm going to get together with Zelensky and all that. You know, and you and I both know he is not ever ready to sit down with Zelensky right now. He's going to take that country. I just, unless we stop it, and we're tired of the wars. We're tired of funding the wars.
Down earth.
So what happens? What's really going to happen here? Do you predict Putin will take Ukraine in the next 24 months? What's your thought?
So I believe talks will continue. He's not gonna stop until NATO is no longer at. If somebody can promise him that NATO will never be at his back door, right? Mm-hmm. He'd do it, but here's the problem. Somebody did promise him that. The USA did. And they reneged on that promise. And they did what they said they wouldn't do. So he's going to be hesitant in trusting anybody. Now, he has more of a favorable outlook towards Trump. Yeah. He does. But he does not trust the UN. He does not trust. He just doesn't trust people like that. And, you know, he has his own ideals about his nation, and he's going to go forward with it. The Ukraine is very important to Russia. Absolutely. Right? Very important to Russia.
Well, okay. Is it as important to Russia as Taiwan is to China? Yeah. Do you feel like China is going to make a move on Taiwan maybe in the next? They're not going to give the idea of Taiwan up. They're not going to do never.
They're not going to do it. So that's they're just not going to do that. And if you think about it, what these countries are doing is they're putting themselves together. See, they've been regulated so long, right, by an external police force, so to speak, that they're tired of someone else governing how they live their lives. And it's nothing more than their own internal nationalism, right? And so now they're saying, you know, this is ours. It was ours in the beginning. We're going to make it whole. And this is their mindset. I do believe that's ultimately going to cause us a great deal of difficulty. It's also part of this dark kingdom that's rising, right? So yeah, people may want to get ready for that. Amen. Because they're going to see some things that they didn't really expect, or they did. You know, it's been certain subjects.
Why is it so dark? It's retarded.
Dragged out for so long, you believe that they will never take place. Yeah, they live in a time where multiple things will take place.
Let's talk about the heavens, out of this world, because this webinar is tomorrow, and I got thinking about the sun. You've talked a lot about it. Something is the sun is doing things it's never done before. And there's a reason for this, Mike. Can you help us understand what should we anticipate with the sun? What are the external, literally, are we facing external danger?
Yeah, I believe that's going to be evident too. You know, we're going to quickly move from talking about these subjects, and people are going to ask one question: how do I protect my family from what's happening? Yeah, we're going to be in the middle of it, the middle of the things that are happening, and people are going to say, "What do I do to protect my family?" The sun, for example, its chemistry is changing. Right? They can note that by all the probes. It's affecting the entire solar system. Something is also affecting the sun and Jupiter, and at the same time. So they know there's an external influence upon this solar system, and it's pretty consistent as far as where its origin point is. and how it affects everything. And those
Hey,
forces
down
are
to 3
becoming
seconds.
a bit more dramatic each
Usually I'm
month.
within 1 second or
Right, you see,
sometimes even
every 10 years,
right on the
they
same time.
would see the differences. Then it went to every year they would see the differences. Now it's every month they can see the differences. And I believe that's part of a scalar type mathematics where something, or exponential, if you want to see it that way, things will happen faster and faster as these approaches of celestial objects takes place. I do believe we live in a binary. We have a binary system. I believe that. I believe that. Too many ancient people talked about things that are, they're not really popular to look into. But think about something. The ancients documented things just like we do today, right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of people documented things that don't make sense. Like they had details of Saturn. How can anybody have details of Saturn?
Before
But
telescopes.
they all said something, that Saturn was very close in our sky.
So did that?
They also said that.
Did that mean the Earth had got out of orbit? Or
Well, that means the planets were not in the arrangement they are in now. And that's also going to, there are a few papers that will be published this year that will also be inclusive in, educational literature coming up, but the planets were not always in this arrangement. Right? So there are a few things that are coming out with, unfortunately, when they find these facts out, nobody else finds them out until about 10 years later. And then they do it by way of publishing peer-reviewed papers first, and then they go through,
now we're going to keep those up.
Associations for print and books. Then everybody else finds.
Arms up and side bend to the right. And up. And over to the left. We want to work on keeping those sides long and lean. Exhale, bringing it up. Inhale, arms down. Up. Exhale.
Well, I'm not.
Inhale up. Exhale.
Got it too late.
And then arms coming down. And just shake it out a little bit.
Shake it.
You might get a little spinal twist here. Just feeling your breath. Feeling your lungs. And then just take a minute here and feel that energy.
So you ready to start your day?
Yeah. How open you are. You got
then
that flow
there
going.
is.
So you're ready for your day, or you're ready to go to sleep. Either way.
Happened in the ancient world. Everything else was devoured, right? Many things were devoured. And the only thing that was
So you ready to start your day or ready to go to sleep? Tahit, are you serious? You can't go to sleep after that. You know what she means by that. Sleep, wink, wink. Something in my eye. Sleep, wink, wink. Are you ready? Shock treatment coming up. No Man Cave karaoke. I know it. She didn't put the chain. Oh my God. If we the people, you're strong enough to handle the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. But if you're they, the sheeple unsubscribe, the sheeple unfollow, and the sheeple unfriend. That's what they do, because they can't handle shit. For the truth, the sheeple will never be fecking, the useless eaters. No forking, no facking, no fooking ready. There's always traffic. Every time I go outside, there's always traffic in a dead-end street. The sheeple, for the truth, will never be fooking ready.